Welcome back to Diane Yoga. Today I want to talk about a body part that is responsible for a lot of back pain in our lives. And that body part are the hamstrings. The back of the legs that are often in a flexed position, often tight as we are often seated. And on top of that, the quads in our movements of getting up and getting down can be overstrong. So the balance between the two of stretching and strengthening will create a much safer environment for your sacrum and low back. And the reason why the pain occurs here is because when our hamstrings are tight and we stand, they pull down the sacrum and then flattening out that natural lumbar curve that's very important for our biped lives. That lumbar curve needs to be established. When that's out of balance, pain results. And on it goes, down into the knees and the ankles over time. So here we are right now to help prevent that with just a few minutes a day, or I'm going to say 3 to 5 times a week. 5 minutes of simple strengthening and stretching to balance out the quads, the hamstrings, and even the abductors and adductors, the outside and inside of the legs. So beginning with a little bit of strengthening, we have a yoga block, perhaps a small ball or something in your house, or even a couple of pillows that don't crush so much that your knees come together all the way. So place that block between your legs. And sitting tall in a chair to make it accessible for you, we're simply going to squeeze that block. Just gently, keeping the feet flat. They might come into a little inner rotation and release. And then once again, squeeze that block, not fiercely and not so much that your body is folding forward. Keep the shoulder blades drawn back and squeezing that block at about 60% and release. So 4, 5, 6, 7 squeezes. We're strengthening the adductors, calling in the outer hips to assist, and release. And to counterpose that, we simply take our legs a little wider and stretch them out. And in strengthening the outer edges of the legs, we're simply going to take our hands nice and firmly and cause resistance on the outer edges of the thighs. Again, notice your posture. Are our shoulders drawn back? Are our shoulders directly over our hips? We're going to take our hands on the outside edge of those thighs and just cause resistance, pressing into them. You can feel your biceps fire up and then release. Making sure, again, we stay tall. So press into those hands. You're pressing in and you're pushing out at the same time, causing some resistance, and the outer edges of your thighs and hip rotators to become involved and alive. And release. Key element, the key element to yoga is the breathing. So we're not pressing and resisting and holding our breath. We're breathing big and long and release. Stretching and strengthening. A wonderful way to add a little stretch to your hips. If you can take that ankle, bring it over that thigh. If that doesn't quite reach there because of limitation, because of tightness, we can also take a block, bringing the soles of the feet together, long ways or short ways, and just open the hips to the side, or place it flat, staying tall, opening the hips to the side. If you choose, and it's available to you, bringing that ankle, not the bone, not the edge of the foot, but a little bit above that area, onto your thigh. Take a hold of that ankle and take a hold of this leg and guide it. Guiding it away and drawing the shoulders back. Just feel a stretch here. Remember, the key is the breath. Inhaling and exhaling and releasing any tension you really feel there with your breath. Become one with that muscle and notice that you have the power to exhale and release the tension. Staying there for 5 or 8 breaths and switching sides. Getting tall once again. This can cause us to round again because of tight hamstrings. This may not be available to many of you. Hanging on to that ankle, staying tall, and just gently pressing that thigh, not the knee. Press the thigh down and away. Inhale and exhale. Maybe 5 breaths each side. sure you follow through to the end of that exhale, noticing the ability to relax that thigh. Coming back to center, time to get to the hamstrings. We can lengthen them out by sitting in the chair and taking a block or a book or something that gets a little bit taller and actually bringing your heel onto that. Again, tightness is going to cause us to round. So staying tall and thinking about the torso moving forward, keeping this hand on this leg and drawing those toes back. You can feel a wonderful stretch in the back of that leg. Inhale and exhale. As you draw the toes towards, say, the sternum and the throat area. So you're staying tall, we're not rounding down, we might not go very far. And a wonderful assistant is a strap or an old belt. Make sure it's long enough. And placing it on the ball of the foot. Simply place the foot down on the block, lengthen out the hamstrings and the arms, and draw your elbows towards your center. Now if a chair works for you because it's difficult to get up and down off the mat, then this is a wonderful alternative. If you're able to simply sit on the mat or the floor can be a wonderful tool too. Hamstrings are very tight in seated position. And your knee might not even make it all the way to the mat. But here are a few key elements. Taking a bolster, a large blanket, towel, pillow, and bringing it under your hips. Bring that under your hips, and perhaps another block or blanket, and taking the one leg extended out to the side. Once again, find that squareness to the foot. This could be a blanket more likely. And exhale and just kind of pull the leg as we breathe and find some release. If you find this leg bothering you in any way, put something underneath it to let it be supported. And exhale and just simply bring again your sternum straight up over the toes. We don't want so much rounding down. That flattens out the low back. We want to try to keep that lumbar curve. And you may not go very far. It may be right here with a slightly bent knee for 6 months until one day you breathe and you exhale and you find a little more freedom. Take the time. If this stretch alone is what you do each day. And be sure to follow up on both sides. Again, taking something under that knee. If it's up here, due to tightness, take your strap. And one other important thing is to make sure the sole of your foot is always facing forward. You don't want it facing towards the midline. So keep it alive, a little flexed as you take the toes to the sky, squaring the legs with the shoulders. Inhale, staying tall, shoulder blades drawn back. Exhale, remember the breath, the core, the key to releasing tight tissue. And with more flexible hamstrings, we'll have much less low back pain. And coming back up to center. Take your time with your hamstrings. They've tightened for a long time. Over your life, seated, all the work we do, our driving, our computers, our dental hygiene. Take your time and open your hamstrings. Ultimately, towards the end, taking both straps around the ball of the foot and exhaling. Find the release. Even close your eyes and picture the hamstrings when you inhale, getting prepared. When you exhale, allowing them to soften as the belly button moves forward over your toes. Inhale and exhale. Take your time. Devote the time. You'll be glad you did. And you can end with just those few stretches 3 or 4 times a week. Mindful, timing, breath, and find a big world of difference in your low back as a response to that daily walk you now go on. To finish the practice, come to seated. Perhaps this is available to you. Perhaps this is still more comfortable to you. Perhaps you're back in the chair. Let's just simply inhale the arms up. And as you exhale, just stretch the side body, bringing your hand onto the floor or the edge of the chair and reach up, squaring the shoulders. Come back up to center. Just stretching the side body one time, reaching up and back to center. And then bring those hands right down to heart center. Thank yourself for taking the time to self-nurture, for taking the time to be healthy and free. The highest in me honors the highest in you. Namaste. Another way you can loosen your tight hamstrings while you're hanging out at home, watching TV or reading a book, is using a door jamb. Simply taking your seat, halfway in, halfway out of the room, and taking the leg up the wall, allowing the other leg to be in the room and this leg to be on the door jamb. And just relaxing there. You may notice that your butt is pretty far away because of tightness, and over time you may find that you can relax in this restorative pose as you read a book or talk on the phone. But just remember the breath. So be present here. Maybe the right leg wants to be straightened and you'll notice a little more resistance on that thigh. Inhaling and exhaling. Stay here for 5 minutes, each side. It's a great trick.